Welcome to Spotlight Sessions, where we shine a
What's
light
your
on
story?
incredible individuals. What does accessibility mean to you?
What's your mission? Welcome all to accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions, where we shine a light on incredible individuals and organizations and the work that they do. I'm your host, Josh Basil. I'm a C4-5 quadriplegic, paralyzed below my shoulders, and a power wheelchair user. I'm the Community Relations Manager at accessiBe and a passionate disability rights advocate and trial attorney, focused on breaking down barriers to access and inclusion for people with disabilities. Today, I'm wearing a green vest, a tan sweater. I'm sitting in my power wheelchair with my kids in the background. And then today, I'm very excited that for accessiBe Spotlight Sessions, we're joined by Jessica Normington, the Director of Development and Communications at Blind Industries Services of Maryland, also known as BISM. Welcome, Jessica.
Hey there, thanks for having me.
We're so excited to have you on the program today, Jessica. And Can you just tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you got connected to BISM?
Yeah, so Blind Industries and Services of Maryland, as we call it, BISM, is a local nonprofit here in Baltimore that serve the blind community. We educate, train, and employ blind individuals to live independently. I'll be here about 2 years in April as the Development and Communications Director.
So 2 great years, and
Yes.
I know you've been busy.
Oh, very much. When I joined the team, fundraising was not necessarily a priority, which you would think it would be as a nonprofit. And we're unique in the sense that we're dual missioned. We have a manufacturing production facility as well as a program service training facility. So for years, our manufacturing, the business side, would support the traditional nonprofit side. And so they brought me in to develop a fundraising platform and program. So it's definitely been a great experience so far and lots of uphill battles, but we're getting there.
And tell me a little bit more about what you love most about your job and kind of what does your day-to-day look like?
Every day is different, but I think my favorite part of my job is when I'm walking the halls, I'm meeting the students, I'm seeing what they're doing. It's great to meet a student for the first time and then see them 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, 4 weeks later, and like 6 months later, and seeing their progress throughout the building. I was just talking to a student yesterday who I met her first week, which I think was in November, and she kept on getting lost in the building. And yesterday she was taking around a new student and touring that student around the building. And so that sense of entitlement and empowerment for that individual now taking a newer student around the building was really great to see. So it's those little things that I get to experience every day within our halls.
Well, getting comfortable with your surroundings, getting confident, going from that mentee to that mentor, it's always a beautiful thing to
Yes.
witness and be a part of.
Yes, definitely.
And I would love to know can you talk a little bit about how BISM is changing the narrative around employment for the blind community?
Yeah, so we're starting, at the middle school level pretty much, and providing opportunities for our youth to know that there's something outside of in their lives, in their community, outside of school. And just because they've been told they're blind, they can't do anything, we're changing that narrative to say you can. And, if you want to work in the veterinary field, we'll make it happen for you. And so we provide the tools and the resources and the training to get that student to where they feel comfortable that, yeah, they can do something in the veterinary field or in the engineering field. Last summer, we took a group of high schoolers to Hartford Community College, and they learned how to 3D print. And they made luggage tags because they were traveling to Houston for the national convention. And so we're providing them the experiences to show them that, yeah, you could do about anything. It's just about how to train yourself to do them.
And then what can businesses do to kind of adopt some of the practices and approaches that that you're putting in place to really get the blind community ready and kind of unleashing them within the workforce?
I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and businesses, owners, and HR directors are apprehensive of hiring someone with disabilities, but those who are blind, because, well, how can they do that? Or how can they, type or create an Excel spreadsheet? And so we're trying to teach and educate these businesses and the business owners that if you provide them the right tools, they can do anything you or I could do. But again, it's providing the right tools and the education behind it.
And those tools, a lot of businesses don't realize they think that reasonable accommodation, those tools are going to cost so much money, but the majority of all reasonable accommodations, first of all, cost nothing.
Nothing.
And then the remainder of them cost less than $500. And it's so much. And I wish businesses knew that it's like those reasonable accommodations. And I like to call them performance enhancers personally, because
It's a great word.
every business wants their employees to perform at that next level. So giving them the tools, the software, the different components they need to work to the highest level, it's a smart investment for any business to do.
I mean, a great example is Hartford Community College. We had a professor in the engineering department who was skeptical about having I think it was 10 students come for a couple of days during the summer to do the 3D printing. So we brought them here to our facility and showed them all the different tools that we use, and so that he could go to his lab and adapt for the use. And the kids had a great time. I think we had one or two kids saying, maybe I do want to go into engineering after their experience. So,
I love moments like that.
Yeah.
And what else can you tell to businesses or share with businesses when it comes to finding and hiring talented members of the blind community?
Well, so, that is not necessarily my wheelhouse, but our training department works heavily with the Department of Rehabilitation Services, and we partner with them to help place those individuals. So if an individual is looking for a job, they'll come here and we'll do a work readiness assessment. We'll help them figure out what they're looking for, assess their needs, but also what, their lack of skills, and help them with those skills to then help them build their resume, teach them a LinkedIn, and do the mock interviews so that we can get them out there for interviews.
I love that you brought up the Department of Rehabilitation Services, because every state in the country has what's known as vocational rehabilitation, VR services, which helps people like disabilities like myself, that's a quadriplegic, or someone that's blind, or really anybody with a disability, to be able to get the training they need, to get the skills they need, the technology they need to be ready for that job. So it's really one of those untapped resources to be able to get connected with local VR and be able to go find that talent there. It's one way. There's many other ways of finding people with disabilities that would love to join your business and be an employee.
Right. And we, a lot of people think that, our students that are coming through are graduating and then working for us. That's not necessarily the end goal. We want them to be employed, whether they come work at BISM or outside of us. We just want to get them employed. And sometimes we hire those employees, but just like a past employee, she went through, she got here, she was through the administrative side, got as high as she could, and then she got a job outside. And as sad as we were to see her go, it's all about what our mission is about. She was excelling in her role, and she got a better position outside of, our organization. So those two are those, great success stories.
And is there any other moment or story at BISM that's kind of had a lasting impact on you?
Oh gosh, there's so many. We had a student, I think she graduated now maybe almost a year ago. And blindness was her main disability, but she had others. And she started the program. Her parents wouldn't let her use a knife, never was on her own. And she graduated. And I think about 3 months ago, we got a email from her that she got a job as an administrative assistant. And, again, you see these, students, she was, I think, in her 20s. Um, her parents did all the enabling, and then she wanted to be independent and went through the program. Yeah, there was ups and downs. And then she was able to get a job. So, that in itself is, we did a good job, and it's all to her because she took the time to do the learning, the non-visual skill learning. But those are the stories I love to hear.
Well, I firmly believe that BISM is one of Maryland's best kept secrets. And I'm so glad
that was what I was told, but we're trying to change that narrative. We want people to know about us and our services. Believe it or not, I feel like a lot of people are touched by blindness, or, and blindness is a spectrum. So you can be legally blind, but have some visual acuity. And we want to be that go-to resource that you can just call and say, hey, my mom has macular degeneration. She's losing her sight. Are there any resources? And we can be that, that spot for them.
I love that. And what's one misconception about the blind community that you'd like to debunk?
There's a few of them. I mean, let's see. I think the biggest one I see is blind individuals can't do stairs or cross the street. And given the tools and they have a white cane, they can definitely do both stairs and cross the street. And, it's funny that you bring that up. We're about to launch a series of short videos on the mythbusters behind blindness and the misconceptions about blindness.
And where can others go to find that?
It'll be on our Facebook page as well as I believe our Instagram page.
I love that.
Yes. It's BISM_Baltimore is our Instagram handler, if I did that correctly.
One of my favorite questions to always ask is, what does accessibility mean to you?
Full access.
I like it. Short and simple, full access.
Yeah, full access.
Yep, I think that defines it very well.
I mean, I will be the first to admit, when I started here, I was apprehensive because I've never been in the disabilities arena. I've always been in nonprofit fundraising and communications marketing, but never in the disabilities arena. So this was a whole new, facet of learning for me. And sometimes I forget that I work with blind associates, and they're just, to me, a normal person. There's no disability.
And well, it's the coolest thing about the disability community. It's once you're invited in, once you're a part of it, it's not a matter of kind of if, but when. Because like for me, I did not know much about disability until I had a spinal cord injury. Like
right.
Before the age of 18, I really only knew that Superman was paralyzed. And then I had my injury, and then my whole world opened up from perspectives of quadriplegia, paraplegia, blind, low vision, intellectual, developmental disabilities. It's just, you don't know what you don't know. But once you get impacted and get invited into the community, that's when like you start to learn kind of how to advocate together, how to break down barriers, and truly, walk the walk, talk the talk, whatever that might be. But it's the other thing that I would love to ask you is, when it comes to businesses, what advice could you give them to become more accessible?
I think be open-minded. Make sure you have the proper technology for the screen readers, that your website's ADA compliant and accessible. Images have a descriptor and alt text on it. PDFs the same way. It's interesting how, now that I'm in the blind industry, blind world and whatnot, I take notice to a lot of things. And I describe things differently than I would beforehand. And, so, I mean, I think it's just being open-minded and realizing that they have potential just like you and I and any other. And yeah, some people are not fitted for a certain role, but neither was I, in my professional career. But just because they're blind doesn't mean they can't do anything.
No. And having a chance to dance or being put in the game, you can show your talents. You can
Yep.
learn, you can adapt, you can be trained. And so much, within the statistics of the blind and the disability community, it's the most loyal community once you're invited in to the family of a business. Like people with disabilities, are loyal. They come to work. They come on time. They're not looking for that next job to just like they're there. Their retention rate is so much higher within the disability community than any other population within the workforce. I feel like any business, that's a great employee to hire.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I tell that people all the time that they come for tours of our facility, that you have employees here who have been here 5 years or less, and then it's the 15 or more. There's like very little in between. You have the new employees who've started, but people stay here. It's a family.
It is a family.
It's a
Jessica,
family.
thank you so much for being our guest today on accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions.
Thank you. It's been truly an honor and pleasure.
And to all of our guests, thank you for staying to the end of accessiBe's Spotlight Sessions. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow us at accessiBe_community. And as always, thank you for being on this journey with us. And Jessica, you have a beautiful rest of your day.
You too.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Jessica.